We don't want to get into debt to pay our bills. We're considering, do we take a loan to pay for nursery? Do we put it on the house? When it all tallies up together, can we afford it for next year? We don't know.
This is Elena's story, but it's also the story of millions of households across Britain.
Baby food's gone up, food in general, obviously all the bills for the household, the car, clothes, every single thing, nappies, everything that you would need, even the basics, gone up, all of it. Wages, not so much.
Elena has 2 young daughters and says the hardest thing has been struggling to pay for baby milk.
All of the baby milk's gone up. I would have loved to have breast milk, but it didn't happen for us on either occasion. I had no choice. It was, I have to feed my baby something, because especially when they're small, like, you need them to grow.
Inflation was 7.9% in June, easing from the highs of last year's peak. But still, prices are rising and still at the highest rate in 3 decades.
It's obviously welcome news that inflation has fallen, and it shows that if the government and the Bank of England are prepared to take difficult decisions, we can win the battle against inflation. But nonetheless, for families up and down the country, prices are still rising much too fast. There's a long way to go.
Food prices are still rising at 17.3%, with worries the breakdown of the Black Sea grain agreement in Ukraine and heat-related crop failures across Europe could still cause havoc for consumers. But there is hope in raw materials and production prices. They're falling back fast and now close to zero, which says spiralling prices are leading to a mental health crisis.
I don't want people being lulled into a false sense of security here, because yes, the inflationary figures are down a little bit, but actually that's still showing that prices are rising. It's just that they're rising a little bit slower than they were before.
So have the summits held in Downing Street with regulators and supermarket bosses had any impact?
The government needs to be taking action to make sure supermarkets are pulling their weight. And I do think that consumers...
Are they pulling their weight?
I don't think they're pulling enough of their weight currently. And I think consumers will look at these summits that have been happening and think it rings pretty hollow.
The cost of fuel has come down dramatically, but there have been questions on whether retailers have done enough to pass on cuts. In a rare and extraordinary exchange in Parliament, one of the billionaire brothers who owns Asda, Mohsen Issa, took on a barrage of criticism from MPs who complained Asda had not been straightforward about increasing their profit margin, their strategy on fire and rehire, and the amount of debt being piled on the supermarket group.
Did you target increased margins on fuel?
Our strategy did not change. I control the pricing in Asda, and that's what we did. Our strategy was the price leader.
Do you understand why customers think you've been taking them for a ride?
It's like drawing teeth talking to this company.
You've not answered any of our questions. I'm just very sorry that we've spent an hour going around in circles.
We pass on decreases as quickly as we can.
These companies are in the spotlight because they're the public face of the cost of living squeeze. Alongside food and energy, the focus is now spreading to housing costs.
We couldn't have predicted this change. This is off the scale change for us. For many families, this is just too much.
Elena's housing costs are now keeping her awake at night.
Mortgage goes up and that comes into play.
How much is it going to go up by?
Nearly £400 a month. And nursery's £55 a day each. It's more than I earn in a day, net. Which makes me feel pretty crap. Pretty crap. Like I'm not worth, like it's not worth sending them, it's not worth my while going to work, because it actually has a negative impact on our finances. We look at, will we need to sell the house, what's available. We bought the house wanting it to be our forever home. When we found out we were having babies, that's what we wanted, to get something and make it ours.
What would your message be to the Chancellor?
Help.